Welcome to the Unwind, the cooling down portion of our fundamentals video. So this is going to be a sequence that could be the end or actually penultimate piece. The last piece is Shavasana of a longer practice, or it could be a standalone practice on those days when your energy is very low and it's just or perhaps for physical reasons, for emotional reasons, psychological reasons, and really what you need is to de-stress, to unwind. We talked in the opening session about the Vayus, the 5 prana Vayus, and this is really Apana Vayu. This is getting hips, legs, it's a downward, down-regulating practice. So on days when the stress is high, you don't necessarily want to do a very vigorous practice because that's putting fuel on the fire. So this is really a great practice for when you want to take everything way down. So we're going to start by coming on to lying on the back. And this is a pose called effortless rest, or Ardha Shavasana. You're going to bring the hands to the belly. I'm not sure if the camera can really see, but my feet are flat on the floor and my toes are pointing straight ahead. I can bring my feet as wide as the mat, let the knees fall in together, and just let myself come into my belly breath. Now, the joy of home practice is that you can really shape it to suit what you need. If you've had a very stressful day, I would certainly recommend taking 5 minutes here in Ardha Shavasana, in the effortless rest. You're letting the muscles around the hips relax, you're letting the spine relax, but more importantly, you can come into your belly breath. But for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to take about 8 belly breaths here. So if the fingertips are touching as the belly lifts, you'll feel they come apart, and as you exhale, they'll gently touch again. And this is just a nice way of monitoring that you're actually breathing into your belly. You want to make sure too that as you breathe into your belly, you have your natural lumbar curve. Remember, always preserve your curve, and that will actually help release stress in the belly too, because it naturally stretches the belly out. So when we're in the tucked position, we're kind of squeezing our own belly. So make sure your sitting bones are rooting down and the belly is able to stretch and just gently fall. And you're not doing this breath, you're not pushing, you're just letting the breath deepen naturally. So after about 8 breaths here, open the arms out into a T shape, and you're going to begin a gentle motion. So as you exhale, knees can fall to the right. And the knees stay nice, the feet stay wide apart so you can get this open twist. And then inhale to the center and exhale to the other side. And keep going here with your breath. No need to have it on speed cycle because you're down regulating, you're trying to slow it all down. But do keep it in time with your breath. Now, one of the kind of alignment mistakes that people make here is that they bring the feet too close together, and that turns it into quite a tight maneuver. So if you'll notice, my feet are wide apart, out as far as the edge of my mat. And you're not pushing the knees down, you're just letting them go to where they go. And you're just going side to side with the breath. And you do about 8 to each side. And then I like to come back into the middle And just roll over onto the side and come to a child's pose. So knees wide again, big toes touch, and let the hands come out in front and forehead onto the floor. Forehead can touch down. If the forehead doesn't comfortably touch down, you can make a little fist and let the forehead rest on the fist. Or you can have a block and forehead on the block. And then you're just going to come onto your forearms and you're going to inhale forward and exhale back. Inhale forward and exhale back. And this will take you into your hips. And you just keep going. With the breath. Three or four more. And this is great too if you have any issues with digestion, elimination, constipation. It's very good for period cramps. So anything that's happening in the pelvis, the organs in the pelvis, this really opens up space. And then if you wish, you can come up and take Yogi's Choice, either a downward facing puppy, which I'll show from the side. So a downward facing puppy, knees and hips are in line. So hips stay directly over the knees. And you can just come onto your elbows, palms joined, and have the forehead on the floor. And this is just a lengthening of the spine. If you're feeling stronger, you can have your fingers, hands up on your fingertips, and just press the floor away and send your hips back and get this lengthening of the spine. And of course, if you're feeling like you'd like a downward facing dog instead of downward puppy, you can do a downward facing dog. And on a day that's challenging, if you're feeling like all the weight is dumping into your hands, you can just hold the sides of your mat and kind of give yourself some extra support there and shake out the head. And downward dog on a difficult day, you're not trying to get the perfect downward dog. You are, though, trying to just get some length in the spine and shake out the head. So make sure shoulders aren't around the neck like this. Just let the shoulder blades come away and lengthen the head down. And then come down onto your knees and transition back to lying on your back, back to a supine pose. Now, if you don't want to do the piece of downward dog or downward puppy, that's fine, but a little flow through child's pose is very nice. So open the feet back out. We're going to add on to the windshield wiper. So you're going to let the legs, again, start to go side to side. And in round 2, you can just do maybe 3 little windshield wipers. And then the next time you're over on the right side, stay over on the right side and slide the top arm up to an overhead position, the left arm. So knees are to the right, the arm lifts up on the left side. Now, if it's uncomfortable to take the shoulder into that place, you can bring the hand down by the side of the body, left hand down palm facing in, thumb up. And you can do a few flows, so just to lubricate the shoulder, especially if this is the only piece you're doing that day. You might want to do a little work with the shoulder. But if you've already done the joint rotations, or if you've done a sun salutation, your shoulder might be warmed up, so you could go straight into the stretch. So whether you take the little flow with the arm, or whether you just take the arm position, after a few flows, you'll hold a position and just breathe in and out of the side body. So take 3 breaths here. In and out of your left side body. And if you'd like to deepen the stretch here, you can take your right foot to the outer left knee, and that does deepen that stretch. If you do that and it feels crunchy in your back, you can try just pulling the belly button back to the spine. Or if that doesn't work, if the belly button back to the spine doesn't take the crunchiness out of the back, just don't add the foot. And then bring the arm back to a T, knees back to the center, and go to the other side. And again, it might feel good to lengthen that right arm up. Knees are to the left now. Right arm is up and overhead, palm facing the ceiling. But if that feels tight on your shoulder to come straight into that, begin by bringing the hand down by the side of the body, thumb up, palm in. And inhale it up and over. Inhale it up and exhale it over. And then inhale just to the ceiling and exhale, bring it back. And inhale to the ceiling and exhale, bring it back. I think on the other side I did all the way up and down. So you can do all the way up and down, or you can just bring it up to the ceiling and exhale, bring it back. Again, with home practice, you get to decide. You get to play with variations. And then at a certain point, if it's comfortable to leave the shoulder in extension, leave the arm up overhead, do so, and feel the breath going in and out of the right side body. So getting this sense of spaciousness in the low back, in the side ribs, up around the armpit, this whole side seam of the body opening. A few more breaths into this accordion-like opening of the ribs and opening of the side torso. And again, if you want to deepen the stretch, you bring the left heel up onto the outer right knee, or just above the knee really, and feel how that deepens the stretch. If it's uncomfortable, crunchiness in the back, gently draw the belly button in and up and see if that helps bring some space. And if that doesn't and you're still feeling crunchy, then just don't add the weight of the foot. And then bring the arm down, inhale back into center, and you can squeeze the left knee in, lengthen out through the right leg, and then change sides. And maybe do this 2 more times to each side. Noticing the breath, maybe deepening, lengthening. And then again, yogi's choice. You can just rest here for a few more breaths. Or if you wish, come over and take a child's pose.
And the part of the body that was resting on the floor now gets a nice stretch. You could do another round, maybe 3 or 4, coming forward and back. Noticing maybe your child's pose is starting to feel more restful. Maybe it's more easeful now to rest on the floor, head down. And I hope you can notice that this is a wide kneed child's pose. It's not a child's pose where the knees are all the way together. And if you wish, take your downward facing dog or your downward facing puppy, just to stretch out through the spine. And again, maybe making it more easeful by grabbing the mat so you've a little more support. Bending the knees if you need to, so you can make sure you get that tilt in the spine, making sure the neck is long and you can freely shake out the head. And staying in your downward dog as long as is comfortable for you, which is going to be different for each person. And then coming back down onto the knees.
And you might like to pause another piece where we're going to go a little deeper into the hips. And again, home practice, you get to mix and match and put in the pieces that work for you. So in session 4 of the DIY, so around Christmas time, we'll be going deep into the hips, but this is starting to go in that direction. So again, you start with the basic windshield wiper motion. So do a few to each side. And then stay on the right side. And then this does begin by bringing the right foot up onto the left outer knee. So deepening that stretch. And take that long stretch on the left side by bringing the left arm up overhead. Continuing to work with a nice, long, smooth exhalation. And then as you inhale, bring the whole leg arrangement up. Wiggle the left leg into the middle of your mat. And then flex the right foot quite a lot. So there's smoothness around the ankle, so it's not sickling. And I have my socks on to feel nice and cozy, and feel free to do that. We will have talked in class about the sickling of the ankle, so just to draw your attention to that. Now you're going to draw your left knee in towards the chest, reach your hands through the hole, Suchirandrasana, and take a hold of your right shin. And you're just going to draw your right shin in, but with your right forearm, you're kind of pressing your right thigh away. So the idea is that your right shin would start to become perpendicular to your long side of your mat. You might also think of the figure 4. And so you're just holding the shin right now and trying to move the knee away from you. So right knee moving away from you, left knee moving towards you. And this is going to take you into a big stretch on the right outer hip and buttocks. And you'll take another breath or 2 here. And as you settle in, the left lower leg can just relax. And you are keeping the curve in your low spine. So you're not rounding the back here. Now, take a hold with your left hand of your right ankle from the front.
and remove your right hand. And you're going to turn over onto your left hip and try to bring the right foot flat down onto the floor, keeping a hold of the shin or the ankle, and unfurl your right side back to the floor. And take a stretch with that right arm overhead. And breathe. Now, if this foot doesn't come flat to the floor, that's okay. It might be a little further away. You can also use a strap here, so you could strap around the lower part of the right leg and try to draw it towards you. And again, you're trying to draw the right ankle towards you and move the right knee away from you. And take a few breaths. And you're opening space at the front of the right hip and stretching around the right side of the pelvis, the gluteus medius. And then inhale, back to center, and coming back into this figure four shape. It's called Suchirandrasana, Eye of the Needle. So the first time we visited it, you had the hands holding the shin. This time, you can curl up a little and bring the hands, one through the right hand through the middle, left hand to the outside of the left thigh, and you clasp the hands at the back. And when you get the clasp behind the thigh, you can lie back down and keep drawing the left thigh in and keep trying to guide the right knee out. And you'll feel something very deep happening in your right hip. And breathe. And you're trying to not let the right hip hike way up. You're trying to keep length in the side body even as you draw the left knee in. And the final stage of this pose, Suchirandrasana, or Eye of the Needle, is you might want to curl up and hold on to the shin. Now that might not be possible. It does take you into a very deep place with this pose. Stretches all around the right hip glutes, the piriformis, which is a tight muscle underneath your gluteus maximus. And you're breathing deeply and you're not losing your lumbar curve. And you may lose it, but you keep working to keep the sacrum down. And then the final piece is you cross the right knee all the way over. So as if you were sitting having a chat on the telephone, two legs crossed, inner thighs crossed. And then you're going to curl up and reach for the shin or the ankle or the feet. And you're going to try to pull them apart as you lie back down. And this is a pose called Gomukhasana. And it's very deep stretch, again, for the gluteus maximus, the piriformis, and it's a very, very beneficial pose for the hips. If you're not at this pose, that's fine. In the class, we will have worked the modification with the strap. You can just hold the knees and work on maybe coming down towards the shin. And there's also the variation with the strap, where you put the strap around the feet and pull. And you stay in Gomukhasana for at least 6 breaths. And then unwind the legs and give them a shake. And let the feet come down, let the knees roll in. And just take a few breaths in between sides, noticing how it feels in the right hip, the front, the side, the right low back. Just noticing the effects of your practice. And then we'll do the other side. So opening the arms out to a T. Knees go over to the left. Take a few breaths. And the whole process starts by lifting the left foot to the outer right knee. And you can take the stretch of the right arm up, taking that nice stretch down the right side of the body. And then inhale to the center. Wiggle the right foot into the center of the mat. Now you're going to bring the two hands through the hole that's there, the figure 4 shape that's there. So two hands go through. Hold the left shin, and as you draw the shin in, you're using the right leg, the right knee is drawing in, and you're using the left forearm to kind of push the left thigh away. So hopefully this is all a refresher of what we did in class, so you remember. And again, no sickling of this ankle. Keep this ankle flexed to protect the knee, because if we twist in the ankle, we're going to end up twisting in the knee as well. So taking a few breaths here, and remember to keep your lumbar curve. Try to keep relaxed in your face and your shoulders. And then take the right hand to the right ankle, and you're going to roll all the way over onto your right hip, trying to get the left sole of the foot down onto the floor. Keep drawing that left lower leg towards you and not pushing aggressively, but guiding the left knee away from you. And then you're unwinding to lie the torso, move the ribs back down. And breathing long, slow, deep breaths. And bringing the arm up overhead. And getting length again between the hip and the armpit. Opening space for the internal organs. And then inhale the whole leg arrangement back to the center. This time we're going to do a different variation of Suchirandrasana, right? So the first time we were through the middle hole with both hands. This time, draw the knee in, right knee in, bringing the left ankle towards you. Right hand goes to the outside. Left hand goes through that hole and clasp at the back of the thigh. And you can curl up a little to get it, but once you lie back down, try to relax the shoulders and get the curve back into your lumbar spine. And pull the knee in, and you're still with your mind, with the power of your mind, guiding the left knee away from you. And this is a deep stretch. So Suchirandrasana, eye of the needle, it's the supine version of pigeon pose. You can also do a standing pigeon pose. There's lots of variations of pigeon pose, but it's a deep hip opener. It's a stretch for your gluteal muscles, minimus, maximus, the piriformis muscle, which is deep, meaning underneath the gluteal muscles, and can get tight and is often the cause of sciatic pain. So this is a really good stretch. But again, I emphasize keeping your lumbar curve, because if you let your lumbar curve go, you end up stretching your back. So I've let it go now, and you can see I'm in it. It looks deeper, but actually I'm stretching my back and not stretching my pelvis muscles, the wrap of muscles around my pelvis. So then if you want to take the Suchirandasana even deeper, you can reach a little further to hold the shin, and you can curl up to get the grip, and then find your lumbar curve and lie back down. And it is indeed an even deeper stretch. I can feel my piriformis. And we stay in the stretch for about 6 breaths, sometimes longer. That's how long sometimes it takes for the muscles to let go of the stress. Relaxing the facial muscles, the jaw, the eyes. And then releasing the shin, crossing the legs all the way over, and you can give them a little wiggle. And then it's just where you go to. Can you get the hands to the shins? You can pull the shins. Can you get them to the ankles? You can pull apart the ankles. Or can you reach down and hold the heels? And if you can hold the heels, then you're going to pull the feet, right foot over to the left foot over to the right, lie back down, and experience that intense stretch around the glutes, the attachments to the femur bone. It's a big opening from the hips into the legs, and this is what we want for the Apanavayu. If the hips are locked down and tight, there's nowhere for that energy to go. And then releasing, shaking the legs out, resting them back down. Enjoying your belly breath. And from here, it's nice to just bring the 2 feet together. Supta Baddha Konasana. And just coming into one symmetrical pose, meaning the body is symmetrical in this pose. All those other poses there, you do one side and then you do the other. They're asymmetrical poses. So just before Shavasana, nice to do one symmetrical pose. And again, you're not pushing the knees down, you're just letting them fall out to the side. Press the feet together. Feel the midline of the body. And then draw the knees back together. Lengthen one leg and then the other. And just give them a shake. Rolling them in and out. In and out. And then bend the knees, roll over to your side to come up. And you are ready now to set yourself up for Shavasana. Namaste.